should be going. Practices right now. Eagles practice. If you're there while I'm recording this, hope you had a good time. And a lot of good things from there. I'm going to cover this first. Adrian Killings and Hakeem Butler are now officially listed as receivers. Hakeem, there was no chance he was making it at tight end, so I get it. And Killings, I don't necessarily like the move. That's already a crowded room as it is. I don't think that was a good idea for him in a way. But, I mean, whatever makes it work for him, really. For a chance to get a roster spot. If that was the better opportunity and he took it, more power to him. I hope he can almost make the roster. But they have been moved officially. And alright, let's get into what has happened this week in training camp. Because I was going to make a video on Wednesday and then I never did. But with how it's going, I think I just went to just doing it exclusively on the podcast. I might cut it up at points and drop it on YouTube separately, but this I'm doing myself on the podcast. So Tuesday, Rieger got his first full practice. Andrew Adams made his camp debut earlier in the week. That's very good. I'm glad to see both of them this week made it into camp. I've heard some good things about Adams. Haven't heard much about Rieger. Then again, that's the case for a couple of guys I wanted to hear something about. I haven't really heard much from. Well, Rieger you kind of have. He got blown up about something. He got yelled at for something. I think it was Wednesday. And then had a great day the next day. So, but we'll get to that. Jake Elliott apparently had a confidence crisis, and apparently I'm hearing better. He's doing better. He's doing good things in camp. I'm hearing some good things about him. That's good. Elliott's always been a player that I've liked on the squad for some reason. I don't know what it is, but he's just a player I grew to like as a player, and he's doing apparently a lot better in camp, which, hey, it's good with me because right now he's the only kicker on our roster. But sucks that Cam Johnston isn't here anymore. Speaking of the special teams unit, but we don't have the greatest track record with punters, with the good punters, so yeah, it is what it is. Punters come and go every couple of years. That's Philly. It sucks. Dillard's been struggling, is what I've been hearing from camp too. That is not good. He's fighting for a job. If you're fighting for a job, dude, you've gotta fight for the job. You can't just, oh well. You can't do that. He's pretty much done, I think, right now, because he's not only struggling, but he's going to have to take that 2 slot because Mylotta's performed great. He's had a couple moments against Sweat and I think Dillard a little bit. But, dude, the kid's been doing so good. Dillard, he's been getting blown up by Sweat, by Barnett, by a lot of guys. That's worrisome. You shouldn't, as someone fighting for a starting tackle job, you shouldn't be this bad. At this point, it's making me think, was he worth that first-round pick? We definitely could have drafted better with that pick. Really, if this is what you're going to be, and I think part of it is he's in his own head. He's in his head, he's lost motivation, he's just done, and at this point, if you're that far gone, sorry to say it, but you're gone. You're going to end up overthinking yourself out of a job. And I think that's what he's doing, partially. That or he's either overthinking or just not motivated, and it's going to lose him this job. Well, we've heard some good things about guys like Huntley, Mailata, Tyree Jackson, Sweat. They've all had a good camp along with a few others. Um, I've definitely heard at least in the first. I haven't heard much on Tyree Jackson now, but in the first week and a half, I heard a lot of good things. He did very well, and I'm excited for what he can potentially do, and if he can earn a spot, even if that means being on the practice squad for now, and then coming up in case Zach Ertz leaves in the middle of the year. I'd be fine with that if you can keep him off, or if you can keep him off somebody else's roster. If you know nobody will pick him up, or if you know the likelihood of somebody grabbing him is low, we'll do it. Because actually, he wouldn't pass through waivers, would he? He wouldn't have to pass through it. I don't know. He shouldn't, as far as I remember, but I could be wrong. He could be our Logan Thomas if he does play good enough. Who knows? I have heard a lot of good things about Sweat too. I'm excited. If I'm hearing he can perform, and he can perform like very well against everybody, I want to see what he can do in the regular season. Um, Going back to Rager's situation, Rager did get yelled at by Sirianni, and even before that, he got a word from Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator, and I think that was Wednesday, and he didn't really seem down in the dumps. I think he listened and really took it to heart, or just listened and kind of came back the next day with a vengeance, because the next day he came back with a vengeance. He even had that, most of you have probably already seen it, the one-handed catch over Slay. In, like the corner of an end zone? That was crazy, and honestly cool. Sirianni still has not said the starting quarterback. He hasn't confirmed anything. He hasn't denied very much. Come on, dude. Give us a starting quarterback. We want to know. Not only that, why wouldn't you just say, yeah, this guy's going to be our starter. Everybody already knows he's going to be our starter, but we're just confirming. Isn't that how you should do it? Not, oh yeah, we don't know who our starter is. It's probably going to be that young guy, but who knows? I don't. Like, dude. At this point, I think it's just he's trying to say, I'm trying to build with the team, and Howie Roseman's Howie Roseman, guys. He may be that guy, and I may have to not start Hurts week 1. I think that's part of I'm really starting to get that feeling about it now. Sirianni's just not saying anything because he doesn't want to. He doesn't. He's trying to build trust with the guys, and he just doesn't want to be like, oh, this guy's our starter, and then somebody else comes in. Then it looks bad on him. Matt Leo and Alex Singleton made their debut within the last couple days. Leo is a player, I still don't know how he's on the roster. I think it's just because he's an international pathway player. Singleton, he's been doing very well. He's been forcing turnovers. He's been getting past deflections. He's performing really well, and I'm excited for him and what he can do potentially in the regular season. I'm hearing a lot of good things since he came back off the COVID list. The offense struggled yesterday, and this was something that was widely talked about. It was widely, well, not yesterday. Friday. I wrote this whole baseline yesterday because I write a baseline for these podcasts some of the time. And I wrote this baseline yesterday, so I think I was talking about Friday. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, you probably know which day I mean if you're an Eagles fan. But it was widely talked about that the offense struggled. There was a lot of up and down stuff. Hurts made some very rookie mistakes. And the offense did as well. And it's expected that they're not going to be perfect. They're going to have an off practice. They're going to actually have a couple off practices. They're going to have off days. They're going to have days where they're not 100% there. They're going to have days where nothing's going their way. We've all had it. And they're no different. They're human like the rest of us. And I think the media really blew that out of proportion because at the end of the day, they're just like you and me. They're normal people. And they cannot be perfect one time and still be fine. And it's a practice nonetheless. And the media is making such a big deal over a practice. Like, dude, calm down. It's only training camp. But honestly, I'm excited for this. I really am. And this is a game that, or this was a practice that really just was like, yeah, we have bad days, but we have great days too. What else do we have to talk about? I don't know why I put this one. I didn't put this one along with Huntley earlier, but apparently his pass blocking has gotten a lot better since Detroit. Well, if his pass blocking is good, he's a fast runner. He's young. He's got some talent. He's got decent potential. Well, then why is Kerryon here? We've already got a passing game threat. Like, if Huntley if Huntley is good enough in pass blocking, and you've got Gainwell, who we've seen has gotten some or has been getting some balls out of the backfield. Miles gets him out of the backfield. Scott potentially could get him out of the backfield. Why is Kerryon here? Gainwell's supposed to be a pass blocking guy. Why is Gainwell here if everybody else can kind of do the job? Why not just bring in Holyfield and he's going to be your power back? The only thing that Kerryon does that the others don't do is, well, first pass blocking and out of the backfield together, but also he's the one that's more of a power back. Holyfield can kind of give you that. He's been in the organization for a while, and not only that, he's younger. And you don't have to necessarily worry about too much about injuries, at least him having, or you shouldn't have to worry a lot about injury history, because you really don't. Unlike you do with Kerryon. Come on, guys. Like, am I the only one seeing this? Am I the only one that, I also wanted Holyfield since day one to start, or to get some time, but that's just me. Jay Jaw, earlier this week, he said he took time and reflected on his play at Stanford and what made him good at Stanford, what he did good at Stanford, how he performed at Stanford, and all that. And he said that he has to let the talent take over in situations where the talent needs to take over, and in situations that don't necessarily need the talent to take over, he needs to do what he needs to do, and he needs to do what he's doing well. And that I'm paraphrasing. I guarantee I'm not saying it perfectly. If you want to look for it, you can on Twitter, because it's a lot better on there for what it said. And with J.J. kind of reflecting and kind of overlooking himself and kind of wanting to change himself to potentially get a better production and get himself better for when the chance arrives to capitalize the best he can. And I'm excited to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. And honestly, I hope to see the kid on the starting on the roster come week 1, and I want to see what he can do I want to really see what he can do. I really do. He's someone I've liked. I liked coming out of college a little bit. I saw a lot of him as a Notre Dame fan. I saw him once a year when he would beat us in the red zone. But I hated when we faced him in the red zone because it sucked. But hey, he was a good threat in Stanford, and I thought he could be in the NFL, and he hasn't been used correctly in my eyes. He hasn't. But that's just me. Also, Sirianni at one point came out and called Boston Scott a quote-unquote great leader. That speaks very much to Scott, and hopefully, I say this now, hopefully he could be on the roster come week 1 too. He's another guy I'm gunning for to make the roster week 1. But we have had injuries over the kind of day, over the camp, and looking at the camp and what's been going on. Kerrigan is limited with his thumb. He had a brace on the thumb. Walker limited with his foot. The guy from Jacksonville, the receiver. That sucks. I don't think that's gonna really give him a chance to earn a spot on the roster. That limits him a little bit. Limited. But I promise that wasn't intentional that I said that. But I didn't even think of it till right after. That I was like, oh, limit's limited. But day to day, you have Grayland Arnold with his hamstring, Jannard Avery with his groin, Bradley with an illness, unspecified illness, Brooks with his hamstring, Kroom with his knee, Melifonwu with his hamstring. And then week to week, Hightower, hamstring. Samalo, hamstring. Smith, knee sprain. Stevens, hamstring. Jacoby Stevens, hamstring. And Davion Taylor with his calf. Guys, why so many hamstring injuries? You've got what? 6. You've got 6 hamstring injuries, and 3 are day to day, 3 are week to week. Congratulations. I don't know. Something worries me about that a little bit. I don't know what it is, but it's really not reassuring. I'll say that now. Alright, on to other topics. Wentz is down 5 to 12 weeks with surgery on an injured foot, supposedly since high school. How did nobody notice this? How did nobody for the doctors for like the draft and the combine not notice this? How did none of the Philly doctors notice this? Of the rotating carousel there's been. And why is this all of a sudden a problem? Like, from the way it was described, I'm pretty sure somebody should have noticed it somehow. But he could be back in 5 weeks. He could be back in 12 weeks. Which leads me to think, well, congratulations, you screwed us out of a first-round pick. One more strike from beyond the team, right? Sucks. It really does. You had to do it one more time. Giants had a brawl out there in their camp earlier in the weekend. At one point, Daniel Jones was on the bottom of a pileup. But they had a brawl. It was after Corey Clement, a former Eagle, by the way, got hit late. Evan Ingram went to stick up for Corey, and then that spiraled a bench-clearing offense versus defense fight, and apparently even special teams could have gotten in there. Okay, and then Joe Judge had not only the players, but the coaches run laps. I'm sure that made everybody happy. And the Giants have had, 3 guys retire in like a month? The Raiders have too, but that's something, I don't want to talk about the Raiders right now with that though, have a good retirement. Sam Young and Theo Riddick, two former Notre Dame guys, along with everyone else who retired from those things. But those guys, those are two Notre Dame guys. Sam Young's been in the league for years. He's been a very good depth piece. He's been a journeyman depth piece at the tackle spot. And Theo Riddick's been kind of a journeyman running back. Neither could really find a... I don't think any of them found a permanent spot, really. And I hope you guys have a happy retirement along with everyone else who did. But Josh Johnson, signed with the Jets. That is his 17th stint on a roster since 2009. And that's not even counting the stints he had in the UFL, the AAF, or the XFL. This is the same Josh Johnson that was starting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as his first team. I remember that. And it wasn't pretty. But I'm surprised. I didn't even know he was still in the league. I thought he had retired. I really had. But good luck to Josh Johnson. He was somebody who I kind of liked him as a player, but I never could, fully attach to him like I do someone like a Boston Scott. And the reason for that, I've never been 100% sure, but he's one of those players. James Washington wants out of Pittsburgh, the former, first rounder, second rounder? Either he's a day 1 or day 2 pick. The former guy, he wants out. And if he wants out, then Philly could be a spot for him. It depends on what compensation the Steelers would want. I don't think they're going to want too much, but I don't think they're going to want very little either. Here, I'll give you a deal right now. Barnett. That's it, Barnett. Have fun. Take Barnett. I don't care. Here, actually, no. Who else could we add to that deal? Take Dillard and then take Barnett as a consolation, or take Barnett too. And then we'll take James. And then we'll trade one of our receivers that probably won't make the roster for our tackle to back up Mailata. Someone who can move between both sides. Because Dillard's the only guy on our line that ain't versatile. But honestly, if they would want a deal of Dillard and Barnett, or Dillard, Barnett, and maybe a 4th or 5th round pick, I'd be all in good with that, dude. It's a win-win. You get another receiver who could be good. He's got some potential. You get rid of Barnett. You get rid of Dillard, who is struggling so bad and I think needs a change of scenery. It's a win-win. And for the Steelers, they get Derek Barnett. They get Andre Dillard, who can't do very much, but may need a change of scenery, and they get a mid-round pick. Okay. Now, there's a video jumping around of Jameis Winston trying to go through. I don't even know exactly what it was, but I think it was it was a running back drill where they tuck the ball and go through, and it made Jameis Winston look hilarious because he looked like he was hammered walking out of a bar because he came out of that thing and he almost fell. By the end of it, I can't explain what it was really either, but you got to look up the video. It's hilarious. It's had me dying ever since I saw it. But honestly, now that I have that in my bookmarks on Twitter, and every once in a while, if I'm not having the greatest moment, I just watch that and I kind of have a laugh. But I had the feeling I needed to bring that up for some reason. And finally, something I wanted to talk about: Boston Scott security. He was actually, this wasn't his first appearance, but I can't exactly remember the first. But this was his second appearance. He was he escorted Greg Ward to his presser a couple days ago and made sure it was all safe and stood guard. And then Jordan Mailata, who, mind you, is 1.2 taller than him, picked him up like a kid and walked him away. And then I think it was either that same day or the day after, or within a day of that, of Boston Scott Security, which I'm just saying I want to know where to hire him because that'd be funny. Uh, Andrew Adams, I think it was, had Slay calling for him during his presser. This was like a fun messing around atmosphere that we haven't really seen in a while. And I said this on One Trade Rocks channel last night, I think. This is something we haven't really seen of a team having fun, a team just be like. We haven't seen really a team like this atmosphere since early Doug Peterson days. And honestly, it gives me a lot of hope, and it feels good. I like it a lot, and it gives me hope that there's going to be drive in the future stemming from this. And anyways, this has been the Common Flock. There's probably going to be news during the week, but I will see you guys next weekend on the podcast. Something will happen during the week, but I will probably end up covering it on the podcast unless it's something decently big. But anyways, I'll see you next time.